Our story begins on June 2019, when the Fuxing 12, a Chinese-flagged bulk carrier, is sent to the Ningbo shipyard to be dismantled. Only that's not what happens. Rather than be dismantled, this vessel resumes transmission outside of the Ningbo shipyard. On the same date, this vessel changes its identity. When we talk about identity in the maritime domain, we talk about MMSI. MMSI is much like a car's license plate. You can change it legally, but it's not a common practice. This vessel changes its MMSI from the Chinese-flagged Fuxing 12 to the Sierra Leone-flagged Puzu. Another interesting fact about this Sierra Leone-flagged MMSI is that it is shared by another vessel transmitting that same MSI at the same time. That other vessel is the Kentucky Maru, another cargo vessel operating in East China. This vessel operates between Japan and South Korea. And this is a very known deceptive shipping tactic, implemented especially in cases like DPRK sanctions. About 2 weeks later, the vessel now known as the Puzu begins its journey north. It transmits a Chinese port as its destination, as well as a draft indicating that it's empty. It then goes dark for the best part of 7 weeks, during which we discover its ownership changed hands, from a Chinese-based company to a one-ship company based in the British Virgin Islands. The next time we see this vessel is inside North Korea. Now in the port of Nampo, the vessel resumes transmission only to change its identity once again, this time to the North Korean entity named the SU RI BONG. After loitering for around a month in the Nampo area, the SU RI BONG sails upriver to the Songnim coal docks, where we assume it loaded sanctioned North Korean coal, a theory reinforced by satellite imagery showing it docked with compartments open, ready to be loaded. A few days later, the SU RI BONG starts its journey south, exiting North Korean waters and changing its identity yet again. This time, it takes on the MMSI of a decommissioned Chinese-flagged vessel, to which it bears a striking resemblance both in past operations and size and appearance. Sailing south, our vessel updates its draft indicating that it's full. It then conducts a U-turn for no apparent reason, setting sail for destination unknown. Deviating from its pattern, our vessel arrives at a tiny, uninhabited Chinese island, where we see it with compartments open, surrounded by smaller bulk vessels. What makes this even more interesting is the fact that our vessel has cranes on board, which would have allowed it to conduct ship-to-ship transfers of its cargo out at sea. It's now late November 2019. Our vessel is sailing north, reporting an empty draft. Upon entering the North Korean EEZ, it reverts to its North Korean entity, the SU RI BONG. It then enters the Nampo port in North Korea, where it remains till this day. Up until recently, all the vessel had to do to go off the grid is change its flag. Sanctions evasion tactics have come a long way since then. Luckily, so has technology. For example, we create a unique vessel identifier that remains constant even when identities change over time. Thanks to the fusion of artificial intelligence and maritime expertise, we can see through these ever-evolving deceptive shipping practices and discover the true behavior behind vessels like the SU RI BONG.